everyone. Okay, I'm just going to shuffle the. Well, there was no real need to shuffle there because the card has literally just jumped out the deck. Okay, let's see what it says. To rise, you must let go of fear. Okay, and I feel that this is huge. This for all of those who are searching for not only a physical relationship, a connection of souls, twin flames, whatever you want to call it. This is about life in itself, letting go of fear. So many of us will hold ourselves back. We will stay small for fear of what may happen, whether we may be a failure, whether we have the knowledge, the power, whether we have the authority or the confidence, whether we may be rejected or abandoned or hurt, whether past wounding affects who we are and means that we cannot show up as we should do, comparing ourselves to other people as well. There's all these underlying operating systems that are always ticking over under the surface, and they are holding us back. They are stopping us from moving forwards to become the best version of ourselves. So much of the time we do have to stop and ask ourselves, if there was no fear, what would I be doing right now? Where would I be? What sort of active service would I be offering? How would I be showing up in the world? And if there's an answer to that, then ask yourself, why am I not doing that then? What is it? Which fear? What am I afraid of? What is it that I am feeling uncomfortable about, that I cannot bring myself to step into that zone, to dip my toes in the water and test it out? It doesn't mean you have to go all in for something and turn your life upside down, quit your job, leave the country, whatever it may be. Even just dipping your toes in sometimes can be terrifying, and especially in relationships, especially in the twin flame relationship in particular. You can be so afraid of the potential consequences, so afraid of rejection, so afraid that you're going crazy, that this is all in your head and you've got it wrong. Perhaps this person doesn't really feel any of those same things you feel. Um, but I think all of this in this lifetime is about trusting. So in one of the earlier readings, there was a repetition that kept coming through, which was about intuition. So trusting in our gut feeling, trusting in what our soul is trying to communicate, what our guides, our loved ones, our angels are also trying to communicate. And for some of you, you may not have that contact, or you may just not be aware of it yet. But everybody at some point will have known something in advance of when it was going to happen, or you just get a feeling in your gut and something's warning you. You feel like uncomfortable, or there's a tension there. It could even be an excitement. You could feel all of a sudden quite sort of giddy and excited, and then you bump into somebody that you haven't seen for years, and then you feel that same mirroring of excited giddiness, and they seem excited and giddy, and it's tuning into that energy. So being aware of what you're feeling and your intuition and what it's trying to tell you or guide you, steer you towards or away from, and trusting in that. The more we trust in what we feel and we know in here and in here, and obviously, clairvoyantly and the third eye, all that intuition that's flooding through from our chakra system, the more we connect with that, then the more faith and trust we have, and the easier life is. You don't need to be sitting treading on eggshells, holding yourself back, keeping yourself small. You can allow and simply breathe into the fact and know and trust that everything works out exactly as it's meant to, when it's meant to. But it's about tuning in with that. So it's about being aware of those changes in frequencies, knowing if something is giving off those alarm bells, trusting your intuition. If you're supposed to walk a different way, and then you do, and you bump into that person that you've been dying to see, or perhaps it's the opposite. There's somebody that you really feel like you need to avoid right now, and your intuition's saying, walk away, walk this other direction. And then you realise that actually, if you'd gone that other way, you would have bumped into them and you would have had that awkward communication. And I'm not saying, you've got to avoid people, but for some of you, you may have a person in your life that you just feel right now you're not ready to engage with, or you're not ready to have that sort of level of contact with at present. So trust in it, trust in whatever information is coming through, no matter how the channel which channel it's coming through. You know, you are basically the conduit, you are the vessel, and all this information will come down and it will flood into you, through you, in whichever way your system, your body, your human physical form prefers to receive. And for some people, that is, you know, clairaudiently, they may just hear something. And I've said before, this is not always an actual audio, it's quite often an internal hearing. You just, you know, you've heard something, you don't know where it's come from. It could also be from somebody else. You know, you could be passing somebody who's on the phone and they say something that is very clearly a message for you in disguise. Or it could be that you have a vision, or you have a dream, or you just wake up one day and you know something about that day, the events, what's going to happen, or you know how to change that for the better, whatever it may be. There are different channels of communication and how they flood through your vessel. So I feel like, to release fear, the opposite of that is love and faith and trust. So we have to get comfortable with who we are without other people. We have to be comfortable in our own skin. We have to be at ease. We have to love even our darkest moments, even the aspects of ourselves that, you know, at times you might look at yourself, if you've done shadow work or inner healing, you might think, right, I don't like that side of me. I do this and I do that. And you might feel you're quite self-critical. That is part of the process, and that's really good if you've spent that time doing that. But also learn to forgive yourself, learn to know that everything happens for a reason. And if you have experienced that, or that is you know, an underlying thing with your personality, it is there to awaken you to something more, something greater. Without that knowledge, you wouldn't then step up onto, you know, the next sort of level and be aware of the next stages, or how you want to change and how you want to better yourself. So nothing is wrong, nothing is bad. It's all there as part of the development and the journey that you are traveling. So tuning in with self, learning to love yourself, having some self-respect as well, I feel, is massive. So we quite often put all of our sort of eggs in one basket. We search for validation and love outside of ourselves. We think that if we can connect with this person, or we can meet the love of our life, or a soulmate, or whoever it may be, then we have succeeded. We are a winner. We are valuable. We have done it. We have, you know, we've achieved something. We're great. But in truth, that pressure shouldn't be put on somebody else. As I said before, it shouldn't be that we're expecting that person to fulfill our needs. You know, they can be a bonus, they can be a good welcome addition, and they can meet us halfway to help sort of support one another, but it shouldn't all be put onto that person. That is, you know, it's not sustainable, it's not realistic, it's not healthy, and it's not fair. So we have to go inwards, we have to find out what it is we need, and we have to be on board with that, and we have to trust ourselves to be able to fulfill that individually. And then, as I say, anyone else that comes in, we haven't put that pressure on them, so there's less chance of disappointment, because we haven't set the bar high. We haven't got these high standards and high expectations that are basically impossible for this person to match and fulfill. And that's what it's about. It's about being realistic about life itself. If we have these high expectations of, you know, say a partner is, I need this person to meet my needs in relation to all these things, and then obviously they let you down, that puts you into that puts you into self-doubt, negativity, and straight into fear. You've lost your control because you've handed it away to that person. You've instantly said to them, right, I trust you to do all this for me. Well, meanwhile, you know, you're not doing that yourself, you're not supporting yourself. So then when it backfires and that person can't fulfill all of that, or they can only support you part way, you feel hurt, you feel rejected, you go into fear, you start wondering why they don't care, why they don't love you, why they would have neglected you that way. And really, if you'd done that yourself, if you'd acknowledged that you are the one with the power, you are totally capable of doing all those things yourself. You can tune in, you can connect with your intuition, you can trust your inner guidance, you can trust the signs the universe gives you. If you do it that way, you do have control, you do have power, and that moves you away from that fear, that lack, that negativity, and that self doubt. It allows you to see how radiant and beautiful and amazing you are, and how you can change your own way of life by the way of thinking and by the way of hearing, tuning in, seeing those signs, trusting that your soul knows what's best for you. And like here now, I feel that, almost there's a lot of energy trapped in my system. And I feel that that is for a lot of people why they do not go into this greater spiritual depth, where they are afraid to tune in with intuition. I know for a lot of you, it may be that you've, at some point on your journey, you've doubted it. You've thought, mysticism in itself, it's all airy fairy, it's all sort of a bit woo woo, witchy, and unrelatable into to sort of today's reality, almost a fantasy world. But also for many of you, you will have experienced some very profound moments that actually have challenged your ways of thinking, your outlook, your perspective, and they have had an element of magic that's made you start to think, well, actually, maybe there is something in that. It's been around for as long as you can remember. So why would people continue to make this up or fantasize about it and get drawn into their imagination? Well, if you are lucky enough to have had those experiences have been there for a reason. And I've said this time and time again, but it's a bit like building up muscles. The more you use those, can't speak, the more you use those gifts, the more you embrace that side of you, the more you communicate clearly with your soul. And I feel that, me not being able to speak there is about blocking your soul. For many of you, you may feel that when you receive these bits of information, it may feel overwhelming. You may feel a bit, as I say, you're either thinking you're going a little bit crazy, or you don't know what it is, where it's coming from. You feel like you're talking to yourself. You're having a conversation with yourself, like, an old biddy does. You're chatting away, and, oh, I'm just talking to myself there. And you're thinking that this is silly. But actually, if you allow for that communication to break out, and you open up to receiving it, then things will become so much clearer. So going back to this repetition of the muscles, keep working it, keep going back, keep trying again. Don't give up. If one day you ask for a sign and maybe you don't receive it that day, maybe you receive it 2 days later, don't doubt that it didn't exist, because it has come to you, but it's come to you when you are, one, open and ready to receive, but also when it's needed most. And sometimes when you want that thing, when you want that piece of evidence, or that answer, you're fighting too hard for it, you're pushing too hard, and your energy's not right and ready to either receive it or to interpret it in the right way. And so it might be that it's taken 2 days, by which point you've taken the pressure off, you've given up, because part of you's thinking, oh, it's not going to work, it was a load of rubbish. So when you least expect it, when you are relaxed and unguarded, and you're not pushing for it, you're not chasing, you're not driving, and you're not in that desperate sort of energy, that neediness, then it's given to you, and then it makes perfect sense, and then it blows your mind. So trust in that. Trust that even if you've had to wait 2 days, even if you feel that it's not working, there will be a sign when the timing is right. So then do it again, ask another day, or ask for a message in a dream, whatever it is you're after. Keep building on that gift, keep building the strength, reinforce those daily practices, and allow basically ego and fear to be put on a back burner, to be pushed aside, because you don't need that. If you are somebody that likes to sort of analyze, sort of inspect, or overthink certain situations, or perhaps even the life's dynamics, whatever it may be, somebody that is quite analytical and wants to solve things, your ego is probably your best friend, because your ego is always going to be saying, oh, well, this is happening, this is this, and they're always telling you something to get you to look at it in a different light, usually the negative, well, always pretty much negative. And that sort of gets you into a frenzy of, oh, panic, and I need to analyse this, well, I need to think about it then, or maybe I've done this wrong, and what if he said that, or she did this, and you're overthinking. Well, actually, if you want to have that sort of analytical sort of tossing backwards and forwards, have that bit of debate in that internal dialogue of what is going on, and address certain situations and dynamics, speak to your soul, Ask your team, your guides, your loved ones. Get your soul involved. Get in contact with that intuition. Have those conversations with yourself. And I've said this so many times, a great way of doing this, if you have something that you would like to work on, or you feel that you need some guidance with, and you're not sure where to go, or you feel that you're not connected with higher realms and spirit as yet, then do some automatic writing. Give that a go. All you need is a pen or pencil and a sheet of blank paper. Sit with yourself, go somewhere quiet where you're not going to be disturbed. Take a few deep breaths, calm your mind, close your eyes, relax your body. Breathe in, breathe out, just get comfortable, and then ask. I always do this telepathically. I do it without actually verbally asking. I do it in my mind, but telepathically, verbally, whichever works for you. Simply call in your soul and ask what it is I need to know. What can you help me with here? Or if there's a particular question you would like answered, you like some guidance on, be specific. Your soul loves specifics, because that is showing that you know that you matter, that your needs are important, that you are not just prepared to sort of ride the waves and go wishy-washy. You are addressing certain things that matter to you. So being assertive, being direct, your soul can come back and give you that feedback, and that is purer than anything your ego will ever give you. And it will not just come forward with all the positives, the blissful side of things. It isn't all airy fairy love and light. There will be some things in there maybe that you don't want to hear, or there may be the negative sort of perspective. But by that, I don't mean it in a bad way. It just may highlight things where you perhaps have already seen things in a negative light, and it will guide you to move away from that and get you to realize things from a higher and lighter and more loving perspective. So don't get tangled up with your ego, because your ego is going to bring you into fear. To move out of fear, connect from the heart space and from the soul, the intuition, the gut. Take that time to get to know who you truly are as a soul. And I feel, honestly, the amount of times I've said that in the last 7 days is unbelievable. But that is obviously the message at the minute. And I feel that even for myself, it's about making sure that we dedicate time for that. We take time to tune in with who we truly are, because we can all show up here in 3D physical bodies. We can appear however we want to be and show up and wear our masks and basically perform like we're on stage. But in truth, a lot of that shows no light on who we really, really, truly are. The real essence of who we are as a spiritual being is working so frantically hard in the background there. It's not even getting it. It's getting no credit whatsoever for what's going on, and yet it's doing so much work. So allow it some time on the stage. Allow it to come forward. Allow yourself to release the need to control, to surrender to it. And you're not handing over the reins forever. You're just simply saying, okay, I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to trust you. And you might feel really anxious about that, and you might think, oh God, I don't know if I do trust my soul. What might happen? I might sort of be taken over or do something silly. Well, just know your soul wants the best for you. I can't speak for you. It will put you in the position that you need to be in at the very time you need to be there. And that might not be an actual physical position. It might be a mental position. So changing your your belief system, your mental program and your operating system to get you to see things in a different light. And yeah, your soul is absolutely one person you can trust out of everybody. So don't doubt it. Give it some time to come forward on stage, to have some credit. You take a step back, get that ego out of the way, because you're not interested. If you've taken a step back, then there's no room for ego, because you're not there sort of challenging what they say or feeling hurt by it. It has nobody to perform for, because nobody's interested, nobody's listening. And the soul will shine far brighter. And the soul, as I say, will move you out of fear. It will get you to see things for how they truly are, which is love and beauty. Okay, I hope something within that message resonated. As always, I do just channel these messages. This is not a script that I have thought of in advance. It flows through me from my team, my soul, my loved ones, and obviously, as we've had there today, the card of the day. So to rise, you must let go of fear. trust your intuition, tap in, make that effort to believe and to connect. Okay, have a great day. Thanks for listening. Bye.